For these next problems, we need to first solve the equation and then do the number line graph and the interval notation. Now, for solving these, you're going to pretend that the inequality symbol is just an equal symbol, and you're going to go about the same process as you would if it was just a regular equal. So in other words, we can do some things to both sides of the equation, and we'll carry the same sign down with us, but the same operations you can do if it was the equal sign, you can do here as well. In other words, you can add a number to both sides. In this case, I want to get rid of the -7. That's after the x. So I want to do the opposite operation by adding 7, and that way those will cancel out. This will give you x greater than or equal to -11 plus 7 is -4. So I have x is greater than or equal to -4, and now I want to do the number line and then the interval notation. So let's do a number line graph. We start with -4. The -4 needs a closed circle because you have the greater than or equal to there. So we're going to do closed circle. And then it says greater than, which means the line has to go to the right. Okay, so we're going to go to the right like this. Now we want to draw put the interval notation on that. Because the 4 has a closed circle on it, we'll use a bracket there, and it's going to the right, so it's going to positive infinity. So we're going to start with the -4 since it's smaller. So -4, and that's going to go to infinity. And infinity has to have a parenthesis on it. Since infinity, negative infinity will always have a parenthesis. But we start with -4 because that's the smallest number, and it goes to the right, which is larger numbers. So we start with the smaller one, -4 with a bracket, and then infinity with a parenthesis. Now this next one, we have to be careful on. And the reason why is because with this, we are going to divide. We'll divide both sides by -5. But whenever you multiply or divide an inequality by a negative number, the inequality sign switches. So that's something you have to make sure you remember here. So what's going to happen is instead of it being greater than, it's now going to be less than -7. And that's because we divided the inequality by a negative. Whenever that happens, you have to switch the inequality sign. Okay, so if you switch that, now we have x is less than or equal to -7. Let's put that on a number line. So -7, that's going to be a closed circle. And this is going to have to goes to the left because it's less than this time. Okay, so less than goes to the left. Now, because it's going to the left, that's going to go to negative infinity. Negative infinity is smaller than -7. So therefore, when we do our interval, you want to start with negative infinity there with the parenthesis. That's going to go to -7, and -7 has a bracket because of the less than or equal when we have the closed circle here. Let's do one more or two more of these. Okay, so for this, it's the same thing. We need to do a division. So divide this by 4, divide this by 4. This time, the inequality symbol does not switch. And that's because we're not dividing by a negative number here. Now, even though the number on the right-hand side is negative, we're not dividing by a negative. So that's why the sign does not switch here. X is greater than -6. Number line, start with -6. That's going to be an open circle this time because there's no equals underneath. It's a greater than only, so it's an open circle. Now, greater than means we have to draw the line to the right. The arrow goes to the right here. So we go that way. And right there, that is our number line graph. For the intervals, interval notation, we have to start at -6 is going to have a parenthesis, and that's going to go to infinity. Since it goes to the right, we have to start with -6 because -6 is the smaller number here. That has a parenthesis because of the open circle, and that goes to infinity. Now, the last one we have, -2x less than or equal to -34. We want to first start by dividing. So again, for these last three problems, we're doing division. because we want to undo the multiplication. We want to get rid of the number that is in front of the x. So that's why we do the opposite operation. Divide both sides by -2. Okay. Now, because we're dividing by negative, this is another case where the sign is going to flip. Okay, so it reverses. So now it's going to be x is greater than or equal to, and that's going to be positive 17 because you have a negative over a negative there for that. So number line, we put 17 on here, and 17 is going to be a closed circle because you have the equal sign there. And the greater than means it's going to be going to the right. To do the interval notation on that, 17, you have a bracket on that because it's a closed circle. We're starting with 17 because the arrow is going to the right, which means 17 would be the smaller number. That's going to go to infinity, and infinity would have to have a parenthesis.